What if I told you that in the early 1900s, the state of Oklahoma legally declared thousands of black millionaires incompetent just so white men could legally steal their lives? We are often taught about the Tulsa Race Massacre of 1921, but there is a deeper, quieter, and even more sinister war that was fought in the courtrooms and the graveyards of the Oklahoma oil fields. It was a systematic operation of state-sanctioned robbery and cold-blooded murder designed to strip black families of the greatest transfer of wealth in American history. To understand the scale of this betrayal, we have to look at the land itself. According to the 1887 Dawes Act and subsequent tribal agreements, thousands of black freedmen, people of African descent who were members of the Creek, Cherokee, and Choctaw nations, were granted 160-acre allotments of land. The government thought they were giving away worthless dirt. They were wrong. Underneath that dirt was the Glen Pool, one of the largest oil reserves on the planet. By 1905, black teenagers were suddenly becoming some of the wealthiest people in the world. But instead of protection, the law became a predator. In 1908, the United States Congress passed the Removal of Restrictions Act, which effectively handed control of incompetent allottees' land to local probate courts. According to a 1924 investigation titled Oklahoma's Poor Rich Indians, a report that also documented the plight of black allottees, the courts began appointing white guardians to manage the estates of black children and adults. The records are chilling. These guardians weren't there to protect. They were there to loot. Congressional testimony from the 1920s reveals that guardians would charge fees as high as 25% of the total estate. They would force black landowners to buy overpriced supplies from their own businesses and, in many cases, would simply forge signatures to sell the land to oil companies for pennies on the dollar. But the theft of money wasn't enough for some. When the greed grew too large, the guardians turned to murder. Historical archives from the Oklahoma Historical Society document a terrifying pattern of disappearances and suspicious deaths. If a black landowner refused to sign away their mineral rights, they would often end up dead from accidental poisonings, house fires, or localized bombings. According to the 1913 reports regarding the Sarah Rector case, known as the richest black girl in America, white speculators were so desperate to control her fortune that they attempted to have her declared white just so they could move her into their social circles and control her assets. The most horrifying example of this greed was the 1911 explosion in Taft, Oklahoma. A black landowner named Katie Fixico and her family were killed when their home was intentionally blown up. The goal? To clear the title for her oil-rich land. Court records from the time show that while the killers were often known to the community, local white juries rarely, if ever, issued a conviction. This was a legal lynch mob that traded ropes for legal briefs. By the time the oil boom slowed down in the late 1920s, the billions of dollars in modern currency had been drained from the black community. Thousands of families who should have been the founding titans of American industry were left in absolute poverty, their land occupied by the very families who had guarded them into the grave. The tragedy here isn't just that the money was stolen, it's that the system worked exactly as it was designed to. As the great sociologist W.E.B. Du Bois once noted, a system cannot fail those it was never meant to protect. The state didn't just look the other way. It provided the stamps, the seals, and the judges to make the robbery permanent. As we look at the massive wealth gap that exists in America today, we have to recognize that it didn't happen by accident. It wasn't about a lack of work ethic or a lack of vision. It was about a coordinated, violent extraction of resources from people who had done everything right. But I want to ask you, after hearing how the guardian system was used to legally bypass the rights of black citizens, do you think our modern legal system has truly purged these loopholes, or are there still ways the law is being used to legally extract wealth from marginalized communities today? I want to see your thoughts in the comments. This isn't just about the past. It's about identifying the patterns of the present. If this history shocked you, hit that like button, Share this with someone who thinks they know American history, and follow for more deep dives into the archives they tried to burn. The truth belongs to those who seek it.